We're joined today on Chatting On with my good mate Bailey Patrick. How are you, mate? You
I'm
good?
good, mate. You?
Good, yeah. Nice to see you, mate.
Good to see you too. I should say what's happening, isn't it? What's happening? That's what we say where we're from.
What's happening, mate?
Or if you're proper straight, it's what's happening, son?
Shattening, mate.
Shattening, sweet.
Sweet?
We could go with that.
Sweet?
Go with either or.
We'll go with straight. All right. Yeah, we met on Marching Powder.
That's right. Yeah.
It was good fun doing that, mate.
It's a lot of good fun, mate. It's a lot of good fun. But I've known of you since, from when you was younger, when I was younger.
Yeah.
Not saying you're old.
Yeah, well.
Slightly older than me.
Yeah.
Tough paper round and that. But no, I've known about you from Millwall and around here. We both grew up New Cross, kind of around that way.
Yeah.
Paths across back in the day. But yeah, Marching Powder was the first time that we proper sort of linked up, weren't we? And we've been good pals ever since.
Pals ever since, mate. Yeah.
It's a good experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, fantastic experience. Let's talk about you though. Let's go back to the early years, where you were born, where you grew up, family life, school, all that sort of stuff. Take us back, babe.
Cool. So yeah, I'm South East London born and bred. I grew up sort of East Street, Wharf Road, till I was about 6 or 7, and then we moved around to where the old den used to be. The new den was being built there, and that's why my loyalty lies at Millwall. Yeah. Unfortunately, for my sins.
It's a sin cross we all bear, mate.
It is, mate. It is for happy and sad. But yeah, so I was sort of around that way. I went to school, sort of like Waterloo, near Waterloo, Elephant Castle, Waterloo, that way.
What school did you go to?
St George's.
Okay.
It's near Notre Dame. You know, near.
Yeah, I know Notre Dame. Yeah,
around that way. That was that was an experience in itself, because back in them days it was just, you were kind of sort of wild and open. They had the open fences and you'd have all sorts walking by there, and yeah, it was a little bit lively. Catholic school. Yeah. My mum's side of the family are Irish.
Okay.
And I met some great people there that I'm still in contact with as well. But it was, you were right bang in the middle of, in the mix of it. So going to school was a little bit mad. I used to walk down the lane from Marshall House down the lane, get on the bus, Elephant Castle, Wharf Road, and all of that was a little bit lively back in the day. Let's say that.
Mad time space. So what we talking? 90s?
Yeah, 90s. So I was born in 87.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 90s. Best time, I think, absolute best time, 90s.
90s were great.
Best clubber.
Yeah.
Best music, everything.
Yeah, good decade.
It was good time.
Good films.
Really good films.
Yeah.
Really good films, mate,
Yeah. So you grew up, did you grow up in just with your mum, with your dad? What?
It was just with my mum. My dad was from South Africa originally, and he was very politically active. He had a lot of stuff going on. He had a couple of different names, and there's some mad stuff. That's a different story, my old man altogether. But he wasn't really in my life for that much. So it was mainly my mum and my nan bringing me up, my uncles. And my mum was out at work, so my nan was looking after me. So I was sort of running riot on the estate. Yeah. Getting up to no good, and
as you do,
yeah, and trying your best to sort of keep your nose clean. But it was a difficult time. Not having any brothers and sisters was difficult, especially being on them estates. There was a good few characters back in the day, should we say. So I grew up quite quickly, I have to say, and I had to look after myself. And being of a different skin tone to other people, there's a lot of black kids about, there's a lot of white kids, there weren't a lot of mixed race kids around at my time. And I think people were still kind of working out whether that was socially acceptable or not. So it was quite hard to kind of find friendship groups or, sort of navigate between racism and true mates. There was a lot of stuff going on. I'd never take it back. It's made me the person that I am today. But I think it was quite a lonely and anxious time growing up for me, definitely. Like I say, a lot of people had their dads and stuff about to coach them football and do stuff. My nan taught me how to play football. She taught me how to do kick-ups and that, and she weren't half bad. So, yeah, I had a different kind of upbringing, but one that I'm very grateful for. I've been looked after by some good women in my life, and
strong women,
very strong women, and they've given me a strong respect for women as well. But yeah, growing up around some amazing people, a lot of them I'm still in contact with now. Traditional, my treat on a Saturday was pie and mash. Almonds, obviously. There's nowhere else but almonds.
It's the one, mate.
It's the one, isn't it? I'm not a Manzies fan. Listen, I'll have Manzies if I've got to have it, but almonds is me.
Yeah, almonds is the only one.
All day, mate.
I was brought up on that as well.
That's it.
My family all from Camberwell, so
that's it. Yeah, exactly.
Almonds was the way, mate.
That's it.
So you talk about that, and that's really interesting about being mixed race and growing up in that environment. But obviously, around the manor, you had whites and blacks at the time. Where did you find yourself in that? Did you find yourself veering towards the white groups or the black groups?
It was kind of weird, really, because obviously my black side of the family were still in South Africa. So, like I said, my dad wasn't about. Unfortunately, I had leukemia when I was younger.
Really?
So
I didn't know
we found out. Yeah, when I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with leukemia.
Okay.
which was a huge burden on my family, and my mum had to still go to work and stuff, and it was a lot. So I was looked after by the amazing people at Bart's Hospital up in London, and I spent a lot of time there, Christmases and stuff. So I looked very different in appearance. I was, skinny, if you can believe it, and I didn't have any hair, no eyebrows, and I was very frail. Let's put it that way. So my thing was, I tried to find a way growing up of being able to kind of address the elephant in the room, as it were, because you'd hear a lot of things, racial slurs and bits and pieces, just like you do everywhere. But obviously, like where I grew up, it was very rough and ready. And I think my thing for survival was trying to make people laugh. So it didn't really matter whether I had black mates and I had white mates, boys and girls and everything. My thing was to tap into football. I loved football, and I was good at it. So I would play on we had basically 3 different pitches on each estate. But you know what pitches? Just grass in the middle of an estate, but we see them as pitches. And I can always remember there was some scaffies there once, and they built us a goal out of scaffold poles and netting and stuff. So it looked the governor. But I used to play on each pitch, and each pitch would have the black kids versus white kids. And
that was standard.
It was a kind of standard thing, right? It was a standard thing, but it was kind of weird. Everyone had a mutual respect in those days. You kind of knew who the older lot were and the younger lot, and everyone knew their place. There wasn't really sort of any sort of craziness like there is now, like where everyone's sort of competing to be chief. Everyone was quite chilled. So my thing wasn't really attaching myself to any kind of colour or anything like that. It was just getting people to like me and getting me on side, and having that safety of having as many mates as I could, so that when I walked down the lane, when I walked to wherever I was, I had a little army behind me, and I did that. First of all, I did that through football. I used to get pushed about and knocked about in football, and then as I got older and bigger, I got the nickname Beef, and I started putting people in their place, and it became sort of a bit of a buzz, really, to be around dangerous people and be around people that were known or a little bit naughty, and being able to be in the mix with them. And yeah, I think I just tried to win people around with humour. Really, that's kind of always been my thing.
You are quite funny on the.
I try to be. I try. Yeah. That's the first time I've ever said that, by the way. I'm glad that's being recorded.
It's on camera.
That's done. That's done.
Yeah. So you use that as a sort of defence mechanism.
I think so. Yeah, I think so, and I think I'll probably still slide into it now. It's probably something that. That was my way of being able to connect with people straight away. Sort of self-deprecation, mimicking, doing impressions of people, kind of takes the heat off you a little bit, and kind of just makes the room a little bit more easy. Even getting older, being around certain faces and certain people, making them laugh is just a golden ticket.
Well, the thing is, it is a golden ticket because everyone likes to laugh.
That's it.
Everyone wants to laugh.
This is it.
It's nice, right?
Exactly. And there's not a lot of people, when you're around certain people doom and gloom, or everyone's trying to be hard, or they're trying to put on this particular image.
Of course.
Being able to come in, take the piss out of yourself, take the mick. It's nice. And, nowadays, like what I do for a living, being on set, I love making people feel at ease and have that community. We're very blessed to be able to do what we do and be on film sets and be able to do stuff and to have fun is the main objective, isn't it?
Yeah.
We had loads of fun on Marching Powder, right?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
We almost didn't work.
It wasn't like working, was it at all? It was. I mean, especially working with Nick. I mean, he's just unbelievable. Isn't he?
Amazing character.
Like you're about to do a take, and he just walk up and fart and walk off.
Mate, I've literally never had that before. Like even when I'm quite good at not corpsing. I'm all right. I can kind of hold it together because normally the people I work with are not saying that no one wasn't on Marching Powder, but they're so focused,
of course,
and they're top of their game, and there's no room for cheekiness like schoolboy behaviour. But I loved it. I mean, we both did. We all did.
It was constant, wasn't it?
And from that, you get that kind of freedom of being able to be a little bit more natural, and it doesn't feel as stiff.
Yeah.
And I think that you kind of have to find that in your own when you're on set. You have to find that in your own way. If you're working with people that have a different approach or are more focused and want to be left alone. But yeah, we were all, everyone was just like pinching each other's asses and
everyone was just on a level. It was just silly from day one.
Exactly,
it was just the right gig.
Exactly, but it brings that energy, doesn't it? It brings that energy to the film, and we needed it, I think.
Yeah, I think we gelled quickly as a group. Like me, you, Joe, and Danny. The four of us spent a lot of time doing scenes together, and it was quite natural, wasn't it?
It was. Every time we got together, it was funny because even like if we got together in the morning to have breakfast, or lunch, or whatever.
You was nicking my ash brands every morning.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to bring that up, but you still owe me a couple of ash brands, I reckon. I think you've had some secret breakfast without me, mate. Any time we spent together, it'd just be the same thing, wouldn't it? We'd go straight into that form, and I think that's courtesy of Nick, obviously getting the right people together, and I know that you and Joe have worked together before, and just it was my first time with Nick, and everyone put me at ease, and we just become a family straight away, didn't we?
Yeah,
and now it's
really
lovely because you and I speak on the phone all the time, and we get together when we can. And it's just lovely when you meet people in life. It doesn't matter, what it is. When you meet people in life that you connect with and that you gel with, and they're good people. You need to hold them close. It's like what I say. When you meet people that are mustard, you have to put them in the jar.
I like it.
And you've got Dijon mustard, which is that's a different level, isn't it? That's when you're in a different level.
That's the top shelf one.
Yeah, and I think that obviously coming from where we come from, it's difficult because you can grow up with a lot of people that you think are your friends and have got your back, and obviously things happen in life, and everyone's on a different trajectory. But when you meet people that have like Nick, yourself, Joe, all these people, when you meet all these people, it's an amazing thing because you've got good influences around you, and you've got good energy, and I think that's one of the most key things to have in life is your circle has to have a good energy.
I think good energy is a really important thing, and what you want is people that want good for you as well. They want to see you do well, and like you talk about growing up around the manor and the people you do grow up with. I mean, personally, a lot of them, people I grew up with, I don't speak to today because we were on different trajectories, different paths, and you find that along the way. A lot of them don't really want to see you do well.
This is another thing. I think this is something that I've started to come into contact with over the last couple of years. I've been fortunate enough for a couple of films and TV bits to start going my way, and all the hard work is starting to pay off slowly. It's a long process, but I think that there's a lot of people that I grew up with. We all have acquaintances. And we have people, when I was younger, it was all about how many people I could be friends with and how big the circle could be. And now it's very small, like we always speak about. And I'm very conscious of who I have around me, who I tell things to, and, who I give my energy and time to. I've got a young family, I've got good people around me, and they deserve to be invested in as opposed to everyone as a whole. And I do think when, people growing up, people do want you to do well, but some people don't want you to do better than them. And that's where the jealousy can breed, and there's nothing wrong with looking at someone else and thinking I'd like to do that, or I wouldn't mind having a stab at that. But I think that when you come into contact with people that want to pull you away or pull you down from it, that's time to move on and separate yourself and focus on yourself. And I think again, being from where we're from, there's a lot of this kind of like, you can't be, a lot of people I work with are middle class or upper middle class. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've got really good mates, from the industry and stuff, but they don't have the added pressure or strain of growing up and being told that they're no good or they're being flash, or do you know what I mean? And trying to be pulled down, because I think where we're from, a lot of people, if you're confident or you're overconfident in something, people get jealous, and so therefore you're flash, or you're a big head, or you think you're the governor. And by having that, I feel like when you're around people that already come in with this particular confidence and a certain sort of bravado, because they've always been told they're good, and they've never had to do a second job or anything else like that. They've got this aura about them where they can't fail, so they're kind of untouchable. And if you're coming in with this sort of level of being a little bit doubtful or anxious about stuff because you don't know how to behave in a particular environment, you don't want to show off too much or bring your sort of prowess, then I think that it can be a difficult sort of troubling time for you, mate. Definitely in this industry. That's
really interesting. Do you think that's a class thing, or do you think that that's just an upbringing in general? Do you think like the middle to upper classes have more of a confidence about them because of their upbringing, the schools they go to, the people they're brought up around?
Definitely, I think it's one of the things that I found most difficult when I first started doing TV and even theatre, especially theatre, because it's kind of theatres, you don't get amazing money, and well, I don't. Maybe there's something I need to speak to my agent about, but it's kind of for the love of what you're doing, and the people that do theatre and TV that come from those backgrounds, a lot of the time their parents, may have had a sort of industry connection. They may be directors, and so therefore they've got that experience within that world.
Bit of nepotism in there.
Bit of nepotism, yeah. And I'm not saying this for everyone, because like I say, I've got got amazing friends from the industry, and friends from all different classes and backgrounds, and it's no one's fault for being born into what they're born into. But I do think that there is a particular confidence and and presence that people from those classes have, just because of, they don't have everyone has pressures and strains and stresses in life. There's no, you can't, it's all relative, like we say. But I think, not having to worry about where your next meal's coming from, or paying the rent, or paying your bills, and having to balance everything, I think that's a different kind of pressure that working class actors or working class performers in general have when they go into jobs. Like myself, if I'm in between work at the moment, I have to do other things to be able to get by. It's not, unless you're consistently working, you do have to find food for the table.
How do you cope with that in a way that, like, I mean, I know what you've been up to and what you've got coming out. I don't know how much you can talk about stuff, but I know you've been working. Can we talk about that? Or you've been working?
Sure,
with?
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah, so I know you've just done a film recently with Kate Beckinsale, who's obviously a huge Hollywood star, massive star. Congratulations for that, by the way.
Cheers,
very pleased.
Cheers,
mate. But 1 minute you're doing that, and then the next minute I know that you're going back to work, doing what you're doing with the lads, whatever. And like, how do you cope with that? It's like it's like you're going from up there to down there the next minute, and then waiting to go back up there because I know you've got other things lined up. And it's how do you do that mentally?
It's a struggle, mate. And to be honest with you, it's a struggle, and I think it's something that I'm constantly trying to sort of understand my own feelings behind it. I think when I did a show called London Kills for the BBC in America years ago. It was my first lead role. It was a huge opportunity, and it was so intense. We'd film an episode a week. We'd normally take 2-3 weeks to do an episode, and it was back to back, so it was like 10 weeks. And I was absolutely flying with it, buzzing. And obviously at that time I wasn't working. I could quit my previous job. And when I finished, I had some money behind me, so I was buzzing. But I didn't then go. I was lucky because I kind of went from job to job after that for a while. I think it was only till COVID hit and everything got taken away for so many people, as it did with me, that it made me realise, what do I do when I finish that? What do I do on the low times? It's all well and good, the good times and the high times.
Good times are easy, right?
Yeah, like getting a phone call from your agent, smashing an audition and getting a job is amazing. It's the best feeling in the world. It's such a buzz. But then that kind of goes away, that fades, then you've got to do the job in hand, and then that's a buzz. And then when it stops, personally, I drop very, very quickly, because it's the social thing as well. It's the getting up, the routine, getting up, seeing everyone, being around everyone, and that real buzz and that energy. When that stops, it's kind of like you built a little family, and then that gets taken away from you. So I think that after COVID, I really needed to sort of sit back and address what I needed to do to make myself happy away from acting. Because obviously you're not doing it 24/7. It's not something that, you can't rely on that to keep you happy. Nowadays I've got a young family, and I really invest in my friends and family, take time out to do stuff, training, being in the gym, having a balanced diet. These are all things that can kind of help along the way. But I think it's just kind of that self-belief, knowing that, do you know what? Actually, I'm going to do this again. It will happen. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I know for a fact I need to be ready, healthy, fit, and maybe even practicing. If you get a chance to train, like do a bit of training in between, going to acting classes, doing whatever you can do, or just doing some volunteering stuff, like anything for free, doing little films, and there's loads of little bits and pieces you can do to kind of keep your toe active, like dip your toe and keep yourself into it, and have that feeling. But I do feel, like you said, you mentioned that I've just finished doing a film with Kate, which is incredible. She's an amazing human being, by the way. And Lewis Tan, Rasmus Hardaker as well. Some amazing people, directed by James Nunn. Really, really excited for that. That's one of my first leads in an action movie, and that brought a lot of challenges to itself. It's very tiring, and it was another step up for me from the stuff I've done before. And again, I think that when I finished that, I experienced a real low, because you're constantly pushing yourself and experiencing new experiences and taking on new skills and meeting new people. And again, once that goes, you kind of have to park it up and forget about it until you start seeing trailers for stuff, or you see it on TV, or you go to the premiere. Just like with Marching Powder, I remember when we were shooting it, and we were doing the fight scenes and stuff, and the buzz was probably even more than you'd normally get on a film set, because your adrenaline's running, and you're reenacting fight scenes. So all that buzz comes back, and then all of a sudden it stops, and me, you, Joe, we don't see each other every day, and it kind of, I'm not nicking your Ash Browns.
Well, but I mean, you've been on plenty more film sets than me. I'm not an actor. I've done some acting. You are an actual actor. So, but from what I've seen and the experiences I've had, you do become a family. When you're doing that stuff, you get close, even with the crew. Like it's great, and then you come away from it, and it's like it's a little bit missing.
Yeah.
You hit a bit of a lull, and
you
then
do hit a lull.
If you've got no other work at the time,
Yeah.
you're waiting for it to come out. I mean, I remember with Marching Pad, I think it was meant to be out in December. Then it went to January, then it was February, then it was March, and you're like, come on, mate, we need this to happen now, and it's tough, isn't it?
It's a really. Do you know what it is as well, Dean? Is that it's if you had someone in your family that was in the industry, say your dad was an actor or something like that, it would be a little bit easier because they can kind of tell you what to expect, because the phone's not going to ring all the time, and you're not just going to be handed your dream role. You're going to have to do jobs that you don't necessarily want to do, maybe for money or to try and get your face out there. And I think it's the not knowing. I know, especially if I do an audition for something, say, I don't particularly like to know too much detail about who's in it, what the money is, what all this stuff. I like to park it up because then I can just concentrate on what I've got to do, and I don't run away with my thoughts. Because if you start seeing money and stars and all of this stuff, you think, oh yeah, boom, I'm going to smash it. This is going to be me. And so many times I've done that and I've been let down, and it really flattens you, and your confidence can go. And I don't think it's a great way to sort of lean into all the shiny stuff. You need to kind of just ground yourself and concentrate on what you've done, and really be in a moment when you're filming or when you're shooting something or you're involved in something. Really enjoy it, get the most out of it, because it doesn't last forever. It's like a holiday. I always look at it as like, oh, do you remember that time when we filmed this? It's like, remember we went to Greece in 2018 or whatever. It's a beautiful, glorious time, but it will never be the same. Even if you went back to the same country, it's never going to be the same as it was when you experienced it with those people. So it's a special thing that I think you have to treasure, and then kind of park up. Whenever I audition for stuff now, I just do it, forget about it. It's hard because obviously, like, my missus will be like, oh, yeah, heard anything? Or, your mates, because they're interested and they want to do stuff. But I have developed a way to now sort of push it to the side now. Even when I finish doing a job, I push it to the side, and I'm always looking forward. What can I do next? What do I want to do next? What kind of angle do I need to push towards? Who do I need to write to? Who do I need to speak to? And I think that's always been my thing, is that I'm very, very hungry in going forward. So I don't tend to sit in anything I've done before and kind of lament and look over, old videos or pictures or think about all the stuff I've done before. I'm just trying to go forward. And I think by doing that, eventually, the year skips by and then you're like, oh, that's coming out now. And then I'm working on this now and I'm doing that. And it just gives a little bit more of a energy and a drive behind you if you just kind of push forward.
You have got that. I mean, we spoke about confidence and where we come from and having that lack of confidence, but you don't strike me as someone who lacks confidence. I mean, you're a big character. You're very confident. I can see it, like in the way you speak. You're intelligent, and I think that carries you forward, babe. You're not scared to put yourself in situations to try new things. And I think what's really important, what you just touched on then, is when you do have these experiences, and it's great advice for anyone watching, any budding actors, etc., is enjoy it. Just have fun. Enjoy the moment.
That's the main thing I'd say, Dean. I think, like I said, all the sort of things that happened to me when I was younger really dented my confidence. So I wasn't a confident person at all, and I probably, lent into the humour side of things and tried to make people laugh before I even spoke about anything in depth. When I went to drama school, I went to Rose Bruford for drama school. I tried out at RADA first. I did a year at RADA.
What age was that?
I must have been about sort of 20s, 21.
Okay.
Quite late in it, because I was at college, I was DJing, I was doing all the pirate radio stuff, all the Gary's Loving Life.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, that's it. And I was in a form room, and I was doing an impression of a teacher, and everyone was sitting in there with me, and the teacher had been watching the whole time. I was like, drop me out. And he was like, that was brilliant. He said, I'm not even angry. He said, it's brilliant. You should go to drama school. And I was like, oh, what's that? How'd you do that? So then I took myself to university up in Manchester. I did like 6 months of a course there, but it was a media performance course, so it wasn't really what I needed. It was, a lot of paperwork and a lot of stuff. But I did one play on stage, and I just felt this buzz, and I was like, wow. I was so nervous to do it, so nervous. And I can always remember sitting around a circle and like on our first week, and everyone explaining what they've done before, what their experience was. And I can remember feeling really sort of out of place because I hadn't done anything. And I felt like a bit of a sort of just an outsider, and as if I didn't belong.
Imposter.
I had the imposter syndrome that we've spoken about before.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't ever want to feel like this again. This feeling that I have now, I'm not going to have this again. So I'm going to work harder than anyone else here. I'm going to push myself to the limit. And I started kind of planning and mapping out what I wanted to do. And I can remember, weirdly, I remember saying to one of my mates in one of my dorms, that I said, I'm going to quit here, I'm going to go to drama school, and then I'm going to be in EastEnders, and then I'm going to do a police drama, and I'm going to do this. And literally wrote it down. I literally wrote it down. Lo and behold, I came back down to London. I went to RADA for a little while, and they did, amazing school, but I felt like Hogwarts to me, because you had all these people from all these different backgrounds, that were really in tune with their feelings and emotions, and people were crying and stuff, and I was like, what is going on here? I'm not doing that. I'm not ready. And that kind of was a reflection of where I was mentally with my stuff that I hadn't dealt with in my life. There was a real correlation there. But then I quit there and went to Rose Bruford. And it was an amazing school. It made me feel really comfortable.
Where's that, babe?
That's in Sidcup.
Okay.
That's down in Sidcup in Kent. And again, we had a wide range of people from all over, international students and everything. But there was just that for me, you got to find the right place for you to feel comfortable, because acting is being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And I felt that was my place that I could sort of relax and get into it. And yeah, it was just, that was my space. That was my comfortable space where I could start to find out, what I was comfortable with what I wasn't, what I could do. And, drama school brings, they try and break you down in the sense of not having any kind of barriers to stop you doing stuff. So it's quite, the first 2 years are quite sort of relentless in forcing you to do stuff like political speeches and stuff where you have to pick a politician from anywhere in history. You have to address the whole school and do it. And it's just teaching you to be able to stand up and say, I can remember just absolutely melting, like proper shaking, neck going and all that. But doing it and then feeling this sense of achievement and being like, wow, that was good, I could do that. And then obviously bit by bit, your confidence then builds. And I think that it's just the same of, everyone wanted to play the lead role at drama school. Everyone wanted to do that. I didn't want to do that because I was just like, I can't do that. I can't have it all on me. I can't have all eyes on me. And as you get older and as you come out and you do certain things, you start to lead in towards wanting to do that and feeling that. But there were so many situations that led to me to being more confident. I had, not long after drama school, I went to Canada to do a play.
Do you think that you say you didn't have that confidence when you were younger?
No.
So did you find the confidence before you went to drama school, or did that really bring it out in you?
No, I think drama school brought it out in me. There must have been some kind of belief system in me to even take the steps to go to drama school, because you have to, it's like 50, 60 quid or whatever per audition. You've got to get through it, you've got to beat people. And I think getting into RADA, because I didn't really know what RADA was, which, I look now and I think, bloody hell, like ignorant. But obviously where we're from, people don't go to RADA. I think it was like 1 in 7 people get in. Yeah. And, I was up against some really talented people. And I think once I got in there, I was kind of like, oh, actually, I might have something. I can remember actually one teacher, I did a monologue once, and this teacher was kind of stunned. He just stopped, and it was the first time anyone had ever really commented on my acting. And he was like, do you want to be an actor? And I said, I don't know, I don't know, maybe, this white boy on the block and that, just, being stupid. And he was like, I think you have to train, you need to train. You've got something, there's something about you, and you can tell a story and you can engage people. There's something about you have to do it. So that kind of gave me the confidence to go forward. But it's been a very, very gradual process. I think drama school definitely brought it out of me. It also, rocked me a lot, because it made me feel, oh, actually, I'm a bit shit. You'd watch other people and be like, oh my God. That's the best thing about drama school, is that you're around people that are all hungry. They come from all different backgrounds, but everyone's hungry and they love doing what they do. And you're just inspired by these other people, and watching them work, like. And that's still something I take in today. Like when I'm at work, I sit and watch other people, and I'm not doing scenes. I like seeing how people do stuff. That's always been my thing. I like to take it on. It doesn't mean it's going to work for me, but I like to see the approaches. Yeah. But I do think, like I was saying, I had a chance to be a sort of stand-in, basically, for a play that I think they'd travel around America for about a year, and. I was an understudy for 3 people, but each cast member was playing 2, so they were doubling up. So I was still, being stupid, DJing, doing all stuff, going on wild nights and stuff, and I got cast in this thing, and they were going to Toronto in Canada to go and do this play. So I thought I was going out there to, have a jolly up. This was going to be, nice little easy paid holiday. We had amazing apartments and stuff. And for the 2 weeks before I went, I didn't even get a chance to rehearse. There was a lot of quick changes. There was loads of stuff, and we got out there, and it was just absolutely incredible. The cast were amazing. They were so talented, and I can remember walking into the theatre there, and the tickets over there are like $150. Like they don't really do straight plays. It's all musicals and stuff, and it was real big time. It felt big time. It kind of, you know, all glitz and glam. And I can remember being in the theatre and just being like, "There's no way that I'm going to do this. Like, I'm not going to get called up. So I'm just going to go and have fun." And the show was amazing. I watched the show, and I can remember, I think we went out the second night we were there, and the director was flying back, and we all had a good drink. And I can remember coming in the next day, going into the theatre, and the stage manager coming up to me and said, "Oh, you all right?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "What's the matter with you? You look a bit thingy." He said, "Oh, we've got a bit of a problem. One of the cast members' fathers has passed away, and he's got to go back tomorrow, so you're on." And I was like, "What?" "Yeah, no." He was like, "So you do know it? You ready, ain't you?" I was like, "Yeah, no, of course, yeah, I'm all right." Literally, I don't think the colour just completely drained from my face, and I absolutely panicked. So I ran back to my apartment and just buried myself in the lines. Like, I literally just went through everything, and then we rehearsed it in a bar, because basically they'd spent all the budget, and over there, if you try and rehearse out of any of the contracts that they've got, basically all the stage hands and stuff there, you have to give them triple time. So there was no money to do the quick changes or anything. So I literally rehearsed it in the bar. I was on the next day, but in the bar I smashed it. I don't think I've ever done so well in my life, because I was so petrified that these people were going to find out I haven't done any work. I haven't focused here. Like, I've just been on a jolly up, and it made me realise, it was like, actually, are you being serious about what you want to do? Because you haven't taken this seriously, and it's come on top for you now, and you're going to be put to the test. You've got no friends and family here. There's no one here to help you. You have got to do this on your own. And I went for it. The next day, I can remember I was getting ready, and I had to have a scar on my back, this prosthetic. So they're getting all that. My agent at the time sent me a bottle of champagne and stuff, and I'm sitting in there like shaking, and I sort of got myself to a level where I was like, yeah, no, this is going to be all right. I'm going to be all right. And then this sort of the imposter syndrome thing came in again, and it was like, what if you mess it up? What if you ruin it for everyone? You know, this is their show.
Is this the first thing you've done in front of
this is my first professional stage show in front of a lot of people. There must have been about 1,200 people. There was a lot of people. It was a big theatre.
Wow.
And away from home as well, you know. And so there was no one to kind of time difference as well, so I couldn't even really speak to anyone back home.
Yeah, of course.
And I got myself to a level where I was like, do you know what? I'm going to be all right here. I'm going to smash this. And then just before I came on, I remember someone came on the mic and I was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, in tonight's performance, the roles will be played by Bailey Patrick." I was like, "I don't need you, mate." Do you know what I mean? I literally just went under, and then I was on, and the light hit me, and I went out, and I could feel myself. I used to do this thing when I first started performing, is that I could feel the pressure lock in my neck, so I'd feel like I was just holding it, really holding it in. And then, so one of the characters was like this sort of kind of elite, high-ranking officer, which is a great sort of very proud and stiff. And the other bloke was a pickpocket from Bermondsey. So I was like, let me lean into the one that I know I can do. Yeah, and it was a lot of like kind of little tricks and tips on, you know, on stage. We were doing little bits with handkerchiefs and stuff. So there was a lot to go wrong. And I remember coming out and getting my first laugh, and that was it. I had them. And again, it's gone back to the humour thing. It was the comfort. Yeah. I was like, I got them. And then I started flaring with it. And I can remember, like, after the first show, we all went for something to eat, and these Canadian people came up to me like, "Oh my God, we loved the show. You were our favourite," and pointed at me. And I was like, "Do you know what? I need to take myself seriously. I need to invest in my talent and what I have, and go for it, and not look back."
Did you love that adoration? The people coming up to, like, not only the laughter in the audience, but the people coming up to you after and giving you that
do you know what is weird? It's like even now, like if people come up to me now and say, "I really liked you in something," it's such a beautiful feeling. It's a lovely thing that someone's taken their time out to congratulate you with something. Like, I love that, and it's a lovely feeling. But the biggest feeling was the laugh, having the laugh and the applause of the whole thing, and just having them in the palm of your hands. There is a real thing about being able to manipulate the audience to how you want them, and having that control and that stagecraft. Yeah. And I had to do it in later on. I was performing in the West End, and I just finished doing EastEnders, so I was on a little bit of a roll. I was buzzing, and I was playing a stagehand that makes it. It was called "The Peter Pan Goes Wrong," so everything goes wrong, and it was due to me. and I had to open the show by sort of addressing the audience and doing little stints and little jokes. It was very physical, and I was again petrified. But then doing it time and time again, you know, I think we did that for 4 or 5 months. It was so good in being able to just be like, do you know what, I can do anything. And every job I feel pushes you to that next level.
It's getting out of your comfort zone.
It is. It's getting out of your comfort zone, and it's finding your place and finding what you're good at and what you're not good at. Even to this, I think I nearly got knocked out on stage one night because we had a revolving stage, and Captain Hook fell off the bed once, and he had the wrong hook, so he smacked. Literally, I was sort of looked up as we were turning around, and he smacked my eye and nearly took my eye out. I was clarity everywhere, and turned around. The audience were loving it, thinking it's props. It's props, and it's splurting out. And I went right to the end. I finished the show, and then walked off and went, "Excuse me, I think I need a new eye." So there's so many things that can happen, and you know, and come from stuff. I think that you don't really have much time to have panic and fear. You have to kind of overcome that to be able to do anything in this industry, and as a result of that, you become, I feel, a better person, because you start to address the things that, you know, your weaknesses and things that you normally run from. You go, do you know what? I overcame that. I can do, like, I had to get up on, you know, when they put you on the wires and stuff. I had to do this flip on the wire, and one time my boot got caught in there, and they're finding it hilarious. But I'm thinking, I'm going to die here. I'm stuck. Yeah. Got myself out of it. It's all these little things that, you know, you have to think on your feet and think under pressure. And I do think that gives you this newfound confidence in your normal life. I don't know. What about yourself when you've been filming? Do you find that it's?
Oh, you know where I was.
Yeah.
I'm not as confident as you. I think I overthink.
Yeah,
I think I've got a lot of self-doubt. So, but what I've done as I've got older is learn more about myself. I think you said it earlier. Is about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I've always been a big fan of all the special forces stuff.
Yeah.
Read lots of books, watched lots of podcasts, etc., etc. And that's one of the main things they talk about. Is getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I was very, I think as a young man, I like to stay in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I was very happy with that. And as I've got older, I'm a bit more like, mate, like let's have a go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you like even doing this today? Like this is the first time I've done this.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's do it. Like,
but I think it always seems as if, I think that we do this thing to ourselves where we see ourselves as less confident than we are. Do you know? But you don't come across as being a nervous person. You might have all this ongoing thing inside. But to me, you know, you're always, like you said, you're always pushing yourself. You're doing stuff on set, seeing you on set. You know, it's not you know, you've done a few films with Nick now, and you know, you're around some big hitters there, and you know, you can't tell that you're not meant to be there. You know, you're standing up there.
I don't really get fazed by people. I think that's one good thing. Is I've never been one to be starstruck.
No, that's it.
I don't feel any fear from being around anyone. I've always kind of been like that. I'm quite game in that way, but I think the problem with me is getting me through the door. I'm one of those people, you know, like it's a sink or swim. If you throw me in the pool, I'll swim. But to get me to the pool,
I'm not having it.
I'm
not having it. Yeah, that's a problem.
Sure.
Yeah. I got you.
So I'm that kind of vibe. Whereas I think you're through the doors. I'm in, mate.
Yeah. Like, do you know what? I think I've pushed myself, because I can remember my mum taking me to something when I was really young in the West End, because she was like, because my mum's banging to film theatre, my nan was. It's a kind of family thing. They're all jokers. They've got that Irish heritage, and they're from South London. They've got, you know, they're all characters.
Yeah.
But they used to love, you know, like I said, like classic films and theatre and stuff. So I experienced a lot of that when I was younger. I was lucky enough to be able to go to the theatre and go and do these things.
Did you always want to be an actor?
No, not at all. No. Not at all. It wasn't my thing at all.
When did you know? When did you like? You say you went to the drama school around 20. That sort of age. Had you been thinking about it before?
No.
That?
So like I was saying, my mum was taking me to this. It was like a kids summer school or something over at one of the theatres in the West End. And I can remember her dropping me there, and I was like, I do not want to be here. And her thing was, when I came out of hospital, she wanted to boost my confidence as much as possible. So she did that by pushing me through to football. I played for every team I could. Swimming, I was bang on into swimming. I competed with swimming. And then she thought acting might bring something out in him. And I was petrified of this place. And it was full of, you know, just crazy kids that were all like ridiculously overconfident, and you know, I just melted. And I can remember being in a circle and they were going around everyone and they were like, right, everyone's got to become an object, like a tree or a table. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing that, mate. So I just darted off to the toilet and locked myself in there till they got my mum to come back. And like this when I was like 18. I was about 7 or 8. Yeah. And the feeling, the fear, because it was just like, oh my God, I have to sort of be vulnerable in front of people. I can't do that. Now, my thing is like, that is one of my things that I class myself as being quite skilled at, is, you know, we're all from where we're from and we've all had experiences, you know, particular experiences and stuff. But, you know, as a big bloke myself, I want to show my vulnerability. I always look at people like Ray Winston, people like that. Stephen Graham is like, they're actual real geezers, but they're so they can show that fragility and that, you know, because inside, just because you're hard or, you know, you're a big bloke, it doesn't mean you don't feel pain. And I think that there's a real beauty of being able to see a proper bloke being sort of vulnerable and fragile. So that was always something that I wanted to explore and open up and make myself, you know, more aware of and more sensitive. I've done therapy in my life because I've had a lot of stuff going on in my life, like a lot of people have, and I feel that also allowed me to express how I feel and sit in the feeling rather than just kind of park it up and put it to one side through drinking or partying or doing whatever and disguising it. Again, that allowed me to sort of go in a different direction with my acting and start to understand deeper stuff rather than just sort of surface level characters. So I think, yeah, there's a mixture. I think there's a mixture of stuff. But the confidence thing, I think, is I've always just tried to sort of just push it a little bit more each time and really think about what makes you confident, what makes you feel fear or vulnerable. You know, what are the things that I can take away or do myself so that I don't feel like that. I can remember I worked with a famous actor on the Amazon thing years ago, and there was a couple of drama school students graduates that had come out, and they were all just proper like brown nosing. Oh, how you doing? You're right, saying the person's name, like, I'm blah blah, I'm blah blah. And he came to me and I was like, hello mate, I'm Bailey, what's your name? And he kind of looked at me as if to say, who the fuck are you? Do you know what I mean? And he came up to me later, he was like, you're a little shit, aren't you? I said, why is that? He said, because you know exactly who I am. They all did. And I said, I know, but you don't know me yet. And he was like, do you know what? That's your attitude. And it's not being cocky or being overconfident, it's believing in yourself. And there's going to be no one in the world that can have your back as much as you. You really need to, like so many times people go, oh, you want to get yourself into this or you want to go and do that. I know the route that I'm going to. I appreciate people putting in their 10 pence and giving me support, and, you know, that it's amazing when people do that. But I know, you know, at the end of the day, I know exactly where I'm going. I know what I can do and what I can't do. And if I can't do it, then I work at it. But, you know, I've got my direction I'm going in, and nothing's going to stop me doing that. So the fear and the vulnerability thing has to be put to one side. There's no room for it to be able to march forward. Of
course, and I think you find that in a lot of high achievers is they do put that to one side. It is a self-belief thing, and they get where they want to go.
That's it.
They've got that focus.
It's the target is worth more. It's worth more than any of your sort of insecurities. Like the end goal. The end goal has got to be worth the most. For
sure. Did you? So when you've gone to drama school now, you're around 20. Yeah. You're from the manor. Yeah. You've grown up around the estates with the boys and all that. How was people's attitudes to that?
It was a bit crazy then, to be honest with you. It was crazy. Like my lot that I've grown up with are amazing. They're a special kind of lot. They're different to a lot of people. But yeah, you got some. You know, there was jealousy with some people. There was, you know, sort of ignorance with it, not understanding, not really wanting to understand it. It was one of those things, you know, when people like, we were still young enough to be hanging about on the block and smoking and doing whatever we were doing, and coming home, like cycling home from RADA or something, coming back and be like, yeah, I've been an octopus for today. Yeah. You know, do you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, so have I, mate. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it was a little bit difficult, but I kind of, another weird thing is that it's kind of weird, and I still find this now as well. A lot of my mates that have grown up around the manor and, you know, they're up to it or they're at it or whatever, nearly every single person you meet has some sort of affiliation or affection towards film and TV. Because it's what we do in our downtime. We all watch it doesn't matter how much money you've got, whether you're football or whatever, you all watch films and TV. So it's kind of a bit, you know, a golden ticket, again, being an actor, because people love it. So they want to talk to you about stuff. So it kind of opens up the door for people to go, oh yeah, no. One thing I find now is I get a lot is that, Oh yeah, I used to do a bit of acting.
Yeah.
People like telling me, if I go to a party, people like telling me what they've done. Like,
Yeah,
I should do a
yeah.
bit of that. Yeah. Or they'll question you what you've done. You know, what you list your CV. They never ask a plumber that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Can you come and fix me pipe? No, not really. I'm in the middle of having a drink. But I feel like it either brings out a lot of jealousy in people, or I think the interest. So a lot of my mates have ended up doing stuff like we used to do these DJing events and house events and stuff. So they wanted to like do the voiceovers for it, or like people wanted to perform in their own, because everyone's kind of got it in them that they want to do it. Yeah. So I think in some ways it inspired people to kind of come out of their comfort zone a little bit and do a little bit more. Other people, it was a bit like, oh, here's my mate, like he does a bit of TV and stuff. But when I was training, I think they were more curious about what was going on. But again, I got the odds, you know, like, what are you doing that for? You should do this and you should do that. There was a good few people. They're normally the same people now. Like, I've always backed you. Always backed you.
I had the same thing when I first got the part for Roger in Marching Band, and obviously I don't have too many people around me anyway. My circle's small, but even a couple of them, I got fame hungry, mate. Like, like,
they couldn't get more further away.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
absolute blinding effort, by the way, with that.
Thanks,
I think
mate.
Nick, and everyone were absolutely taken away by like that. You made me corpse a good few times of it. Like, and it's having that. I think it's again. I think with you, having that belief in yourself, and because you sit and watch other people, and you're amazing at you're amazing at self-teaching and studying and being a better person. And I take a lot of stuff from you. You know, you're a great friend to me, and you know, we talk a lot, and I see it in you as well. And I feel like a lot of the stuff when you've been on set, I've seen you watch everyone and take it in, and then you use it, and then you try something and you think, oh, that worked. So then the next time you do something, you've got that little skill set. You know what I mean? Tucked in your pocket, and you can do that. And I think there's some people that I work with or that think that they can do. So there's a difference between thinking you can do something and doing it. Everyone thinks they can be an actor until the lights are on, and it's exactly like you've got to get this shot quickly, and there's money on it, and like you keep fluffing your lines, and it's like 25 cameras around you. Like, it's a lot. It's intense. It is. And also, what you've got to put aside is whatever's going on in your personal life, because you know there'll be times when I've got the kids are all running around screaming and stuff, and I've got to learn 5 pages to audition and tape for the next day, and I've got to find some sort of focus that I can just shut that out and work. Of course. So it's very easy for people to say, yeah, I can do this and I can do that, but it takes someone like yourself to be able to go, do you know what, this is something I'd like to try, and I'm going to learn from it. And you know, there's so many people that don't. They just go, yeah, I'm the nuts at this and I can do it. No, and I think they get found out quite quickly. You will get found out if you do that. I think you'll get found out massively. And like you say, I've always been quite an observer anyway. Yeah, that's it.
I like to sit back. I was like it in pubs. I'd sit back and watch what's going on.
That's it.
Watch people's characters, and you can see how people are behaving. And I do the same when I'm on set. I'm happy to sit there and watch you and watch Danny and people that are proper actors and go, yeah, what's he doing there? Like, and that's how you learn. You have to learn from people that know. It's the only way you can learn, and then you put yourself in there and have a go yourself, don't you?
See, this is another thing, like you were just saying about you and Dan not being proper actors. It's such a weird thing, because in my head I'm still that kid that was sitting around a circle and I hadn't done anything. But obviously, in reflection of the experiences I've had, my confidence doesn't feel like that. When I go into a room, I know what I'm doing. I'm ready to go. I love it. That's my favourite time is getting up in the morning and knowing I'm going to film something or shoot something. But in my head, I do still think I'm just this, like, if people come up to me and stuff, I'm still shocked. It shocks me. It's a lovely thing, but it still shocks me. Or when people quote lines to you from things that you've done, or they send you stuff. It's such a flattering thing. It's a really nice thing. But sorry, interrupting. I was just going to say, one of the favourite things, my favourite things that I've seen you in is people just do nothing.
Oh There's one of my favourite shows. Talk me through that, Dyer.
That was good fun, man. Do you know what's mad? We shot that a long time ago, and even I think yesterday I got stopped by someone, and they were buzzing. They were like, "You're Cold FM, you're Cold FM." And it's just such a nice thing. I think there's a few things like connected with that job that made it so special. Is that I was watching it when I was at drama school. I first started watching it when I was at drama school, and those boys, amazing boys, by the way, mad talented, lovely. We had such a good laugh doing it. Really, really cool
very
people.
Clever.
And it was kind of weird, because it was kind of like art imitates life, because they were massive fans of Ricky Gervais and The Office and that style, and that was my thing back in the day. Massive fan of Stephen Merchant and Ricky Gervais, but DJing and doing pirate radio was what I did. I actually did that. That was me. That was my life for years and years and years. So I knew those people. I knew those characters. And then when the audition came in to do it, I went to work on it. I can remember like doing my take. I was like, I'm going to do a wicked. I think I did like 4 or 5 extra scenes, just improv, just being stupid because I'd watched it for so long. I knew it inside out, and I was like, I'm taking this. I want this so badly. And then I went and met the boys over in Camden. I can remember, and I was so nervous just to get it right. And me and Alan Mustafa Sepa, and Hugo Cheguin, who plays beats, we were just doing this sort of improv around this scene, and I did something, and I just got them. I got them straight away, and they were creasing. And Jack, the director, was creasing. He's got a really funny laugh, and I felt so happy that I'd met people that I'd watched on TV, and I could play with them. Do you know what I mean? I could get in the mix with them, and a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now is living out a lot of my childhood dreams. You know, working with people who I've grown up watching. Of course. You know, Danny, Nick films. You know, all of those films that I've grown up watching and always wanted to be part of. And people just do nothing with something like that. And it was just lovely because when you know that world and you can kind of really delve into the character and you have that freedom as well, because there's a lot of this improv, you can just have a laugh with it, and that's what we did. We had a laugh, and then they got me in for season 5, which was great, and that was even more of a laugh. But it's so lovely that people still remember it now.
It's a great show.
It's such a good show.
And it is so. I mean, if you've grown up on the estates you always knew someone who was on the decks, or
that's it.
Someone who had a little radio station going, and like everyone's like ran there.
Or someone pulling you to one side to just MC in your ear when you really don't want to hear it, like one spitting in your ear. Yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it, didn't they?
No, it was good fun.
It was really good. Let's go back to. So your teenage years, so you're growing up around there. I know you're a Millwall supporter, mate.
I am.
We spoke about that. How was that? Did you enjoy going down there? I mean,
Does anyone? I don't know why we keep going there.
I don't think the football's that enjoyable. But what about the experience? How was?
Do you know what? I for some reason, I don't know why. Before I went in the hospital, I always said to my mum, because the new den was being built, and I said to my mum, I was like, I want to go there. I want to go there. I never really got. I think I might have been to one game at the old den. I think one game.
Yeah.
I think my uncle or someone or neighbour or someone had taken me to. But I was obsessed with going to the new ground. And my mum was looking at it like this. She was like, do you know what? I'd rather keep him going to that stadium, getting involved with a community scheme there, and be at that ground every night rather than hanging about on the streets. So she went there and she spoke to guy called Daniel Gill, Mark. Do you remember Mark and them, like Lou Weller, all of these, like Declan, amazing people that I'm still in contact with today. Like, they really, really helped me and shaped me in my life. They gave me a real positive outlook on life. Helped me do my training badges, my coaching badges, and kept me off the street as much as they could. And they were amazing people. And
they're great things. Those community schemes. I mean, Millwall got such a bad reputation for supporters, and rightly so at times.
Right.
We know people misbehave down there. But what they do as a club, the community scheme. I worked for a community scheme as well, as you know, for a few years, and the work they put into the local areas that going onto the estates. It's unbelievable, mate.
And the thing is with kids growing up I mean, it's different now, but I know when I was growing up, they used to come out to our local little parks and stuff, and concrete jungle parks, and they'd have all the tracksuits on, and they'd have a pair of TNs on or something like that, and you'd look at them, and you'd have so much respect and admiration that they've come to give you some fresh footballs with bibs, and you just, whatever was going on in your life, whether someone had just been stabbed or there was some madnesses going on, you had that little safe space where the coach was there, they're looking after you, and someone's investing a bit of time into you. And I feel like when I went into, through the doors at Millwall, they did that to me instantly. Like, it didn't matter where I was from or what I looked like or whatever, they just took me under their wing, and then we did a thing called Matchday Club, which was every Saturday you'd get a ticket. They'd give you something to eat, you'd watch the game, and before you'd play football. And it was just a buzz. Every Saturday I was up 8 o'clock, Mum, come, let's go. Live and Kicking was on. I'll be watching Live and Kicking, and I'll be out the door. And it was brilliant. It was just, we just got to do whatever we wanted to do, playing football. And then you go into the ground, and that was probably the downfall, as well as a good thing about going there, is that we sat in East Upper, which is in East Upper, so we were just away from Block 18, which ended up being my haunting ground, my stomping ground. And I just used to love going there, Dean. And even to this day now, even though we talk about it all the time, it's changed so much down there, obviously. But that is our culture. That's our church. There's been so many changes gone on in my life, but that ground and that stadium still has the same smell and feeling. It has this thing that draws you back to it, and it's just a magical place. And I've met so many characters down there, and I've always been the same. I always defend the club, to the max, because it has always had a bad press. Don't get it twisted. There's some nutty people down there, and people do silly stuff. It's just like, I've been involved with it. You've been involved with it. There's crazy stuff that goes on, but that happens at all football grounds. But that place, for me, the amount it's done to change my life, to keep me away from bad stuff, and the amount of joy that it's brought into my life is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And hopefully it will still continue to do so. But somewhere I'll take my kids, when they're old enough that they're getting to an age now where they watch it on TV and they're starting to shout Millwall, and I'm proud to come from our area that we come from, and to have that club, and no matter where you go in the country, people know about us.
No, I think not just the country.
I
think
anywhere in the world, isn't it? It's global.
Places in the world.
It's global, isn't it? It's global.
They've heard of Millwall.
Yeah, and without that, it's kind of going back to the film. Like Marching Powder, it was a weird thing for me, because I used to hang on the coattails of people like yourselves and other people down there that were the boys down there. And then obviously being in Marching Powder, most of the boys, that are older now, they're in it, and I'm leading them out, and we're going to have a tear up all together. So it was kind of like a weird circle.
That was really funny, because I remember having a conversation with you about that, and it really surprised me, because you really took that role on and took that on board. A lot of the extras, if people don't know, on that were actual Millwall supporters who had been involved in some way or another, shall we say. So you being one of the lead actors and playing that role, you felt a sort of sense of responsibility, didn't
100%,
you?
100%. 100%, it had to be right. It had to be right, because I've been there, in particular situations, and not front and centre, but I've been around and seen them, and I knew all the characters, I knew of everyone. We've had so many chats about different madnesses that have gone on at Millwall over the years that everyone knows about and stuff, and it felt. I can remember doing the end scene, like when we come out at the end, and leading them all and sort of marching them all out there, and that it just felt weird, because I used to be at the back and then now I'm at the front, but I'm filming and doing it. It was a weird.
Well, you're doing it the right way.
Doing it the right way, yeah, that's it, that's right, yeah. But the whole journey with that film was quite magical and a little bit, and even still now, it hasn't sunk in, that much, because. It was the way it all come about for me with Marching Powder was a bit mad. I think I've told you this story.
So tell us a story of how you met Nick.
So Nick and Danny, Goodbye Charlie Bright, one of my favourite films, right? You still watch it?
I think it's still the best,
right?
Still my favourite.
Still the best. We used to watch it, we'd all have a smoke and watch that in my mate's house, we'd rinse it, knew all the lyrics to it, do you know what I mean? Like quoting it, and then The Business, Football Factory, all of his work. And I can remember saying, when I got into acting, I could just remember saying to my agent, I'd love to work with Nick Love, and they were like, yeah, okay, we'll try. Then I went to my next agency, yeah, we'll try. Never got hold of him. Didn't know why, but just never got hold of him. And then I can remember it was not long after, I think things were starting there was the strikes, the acting strikes were going, and the right strike. So it was a bit quiet, and then I had a commercial audition I didn't really want to go to. So I went into the West End. And I came out of it, and I didn't, there's hundreds and thousands of people going for the same thing. So I was a bit downtrodden, and I was walking out, and I looked across the road, and I saw this geezer with this colourful backpack on a bike.
He loves that backpack.
He loves that backpack with glasses on a bike, and he was quite loud. And I was thinking, I kind of know, because I used to watch all the behind the scenes stuff with Goodbye Charlie Bright and everything. So I was obsessed with Nick, and his stuff. And I always dreamt of being in these films, but I just never knew what character I'd play, or who I'd get, if I did even get the chance to meet him. And he turned around off the bike and he started saying, I was like, it's Nick Love. I was like, there is no way I'm letting him go. And I was like, nah, drop him out, I'd leave him. I was like, nah, fuck this. So I can remember I was wearing like a Baker Boy hat, like proper down like that, and I had a bit of a naughty jacket on and a naughty smother. I looked a bit tasty at the time, and I've just stepped in front of him and went, "Wait, mate!" And he's off come off the bike. Yeah. And he's gone, "All right." I said, "You don't know me, but I'm Bailey Patrick." And I said, "I think you need to put me in one of your films. I ain't gonna let you go past." And he loved it, beamed. You know what Nick's like, absolutely beamed. And he was like, "Tell me a bit about it." And I probably spoke about 10 million mile an hour because I was so excited. Yeah. And he said, "I'll tell you what." He said, "Give us your agent." Your agent's details and that." He said, "I'll be in contact." Now, this is something that you hear all the time with people, everyone blags out. And I'd never met Nick before, so I didn't know what he was about. And he was like, "I'm doing A Town Called Malice, season 2. And he said, "There might be a bit for you in there." Anyway, a year's gone past. I've not heard a thing. Like I've been buzzing off that whole experience that I've met him. I was just glad. You know what? I've met him, and
You've put yourself
He's marked me card, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can remember, I think I got a new landscaping job, so I was doing a bit of landscaping, and it was the first day on the job. I thought I just sort of just got my head round the idea that I'm going to be grafting for a little bit longer, and my agent rang up and said, Nick Love's just called. He said he wants to take you for a bit of lunch to talk about playing Danny Dyer's best mate. I was like, what?
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, ringing up, I'll quit.
Yeah.
And so I went and met him for a bit of lunch, and he was everything that I wanted him to be. Do you know what I mean?
He's so down to
He's
earth,
just like for anyone who's not met him, he is like the absolute governor. He's the most loving, generous, funny as fuck. He's the bollocks.
Do you know you describe him? He's real.
He is real. That's exactly what he's like. He's real. He's just real. Like,
he's real.
And another thing, just like yourself and and Danny as well, is that there's certain people that come from the same area as you, and they've decided to take a different path in life. Yeah, where they educate themselves and they want to do better than other people. Not everyone, but then certain people that and they don't want to be tied with the same brush as other people and end up nicked or doing certain things. And I have maximum respect for them people, because I feel like it's so much harder to get out, and go and do something and carve your own path to do something. And he's done it on a different level, and he's literally paved the way for all of these, gritty films and even he created a subculture like at football, like the clothes that people wear, the way that people speak, like that's amazing. So we just sat there and he just asked me about my life, and we just had a really good chat. And then, next thing I know, he was like, well, we're going to do this and you're going to play. Do you want to play? I remember him offering me a smaller role and he was like, do you want to play this or do you want to play Danny? I was like, no, Danny's best mate.
Yeah, cool.
Can we just make sure you got that in writing? Danny.
Yeah.
And then it came, and then we done the read through, didn't we? We did the read through together, and I got to meet yourself. And
the read through was when you spoke about earlier about being nervous. I sat there and I had Danny next to me. Yeah. You was there, Nick obviously. I knew Joe. I sort of knew Callum. I didn't know him well, but I knew Callum. And I sat there. Obviously, the lovely Steph. She was amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
And we was in this circle in this room, weren't we? And I remember, and it was getting to my part, and I swear to God, babe, I could feel my heart actually coming out of my chest, mate. I actually looked down. I remember I had a t-shirt and a cardigan on. Yeah. And as it was getting to my line, just in the read-through, I could see it going like that.
Yeah,
mate,
it's horrible.
I was like, wow.
Do you know what though? Wow. That is so weird.
So at my comfort zone,
it's so weird because that is some like I did one for BBC drama that's going to be out I think just after Christmas, and it was it's about the England football team, and there's some royalty in there like acting wise, like some top. And even then, you still get it's like, and because some of the rooms are like we were quite lucky because we didn't have that many people in the room. But sometimes you're in rooms and they'll get you to read like episode 1, 2, and 3, and there's like all the producers and everything, and it's packed, and you still get that. It's like first day of school syndrome. Yeah. But then once people start going for it. And this is the thing, no one ever knows how much people are going to go for it. So if you're the first one, you're kind of setting the pace. Like if you're some people proper go for it, other people like, talk like this.
Well,
so they're always
I remember
awkward.
Callum doing a laugh for Kenny Boy.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're going there, are we? Yeah.
We're going.
But that's what you need. And it's funny because, every time is different. Every time is different. Some people will give it some and some people won't. But that is something that will never change, I don't think. Yeah. I spoke to a quite well-seasoned actor not long ago and they were like, every time I hate it. Really? I hate it. Still. Because it's like you're not acting, but you still want to give everyone a flavour of what you're going to do. But you're kind of saying, well, this isn't the polished,
you're holding back.
You're holding that back a little bit. But there is that thing of like, if there's a room full of performers, you want to be the best, so you want to start, So I don't think that ever changes. But then we did the read through, and then and then it just, we just all got together, didn't we, and started doing the thing, and we were lucky because we did loads of fight rehearsals, right? So that's what we were in for.
Oh, we good.
So and that was amazing.
Well, we had a day out first, didn't we? We went to Millwall.
Oh yeah, of course.
We were in Grant's box. We all went there. We got Danny down there. I mean, how good was he to be a West Ham supporter?
Do you know what?
To go down
maximum
there.
Respect for him. To
Unbelievable.
Get in there. Maximum respect.
Unbelievable.
He did have a little firm around him to look after.
Yeah, he was all right. He was all right. We had big Lee there keeping.
That's it. Yeah. He was there. Lee was there. Lee was there patrolling. But he did. He got a couple. There was a couple of people who were giving it. Do you know what I mean? A couple of people. But again, like, it's so funny because I think even before I met Dan, like, I was a massive fan of his work, and no one really knows Dan until you meet him. Again, he's so intelligent. Watching him work is unbelievable. Because you know, I've seen him on stage before, and he's unreal. Like, he's unreal with Martin Freeman. And even, you know, in his earlier stuff, Human Traffic and stuff, he's been in the game for a long time, and people are only just understanding how good he is now. And I think it's because there's for some reason, you know, I think it might have been a bit of a snobbish thing, really, not accepting that he's actually good. And now he's flying, absolutely flying. But people always have this perception of the person that he is, and until you meet him, you don't really understand him. He's so genuine and funny. Mate. And when we were filming, I'd like to point out, long old days, hard days, freezing cold, you know, like beating each other up, getting kicked. There was not one person who didn't stop to, you know, sign an autograph or have a picture with. And I'm talking, there's like 50 to 100 people every day.
Unbelievable.
No matter what, he'd always do it.
Yeah.
And I'll pick up the phone to him a lot and moan at him and go, oh, like, what's this about, Dan? And he's always got time for me, always. Yeah. And
he's good as gold.
That's just maximum respect to him for that. And, you know, Nick's the same. Nick's like an uncle. He wouldn't like me to say that, but he makes me sound like Jills, doesn't it? But he's good stuff. And that's the thing that I loved about our film, is that it was made. Nick makes stuff that he wants to make and that he's passionate about, as opposed to just making something for the sake of it. And that is very rare nowadays, you know, and having that freedom to mess about, and he'll just tell people straight. It's so freeing. It's so freeing. And we all got to bring a little bit of our own experiences and characters. I can remember do you remember when we were in the Fox, and it's before Danny comes back that time, when Jack comes back. Yeah. And we were all supposed to be nutted, weren't we? And we was all running. And I can remember saying to Nick, I was like, can I do a tap? And he was like, what do you mean do a tap? And I was like, you know when you're in the pub and someone's out there nut, you've got certain types of characters. There's ones that will like spit in your ear, innit? And there's a tapper, and I felt like Vinny was a tapper.
You was a tapper.
So I was winding you and Joe up all the time. I was like, hey boys, just tapping you up. But I feel like it's those little details.
Knows a tapper.
Everyone knows a tapper. Everyone knows a tapper. And if you don't know a tapper, that's because it's you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No, you're the tapper. Yeah. But everyone's got those little intricacies and little bits, and I feel like his film's always packed with that, and that's because he gets real people that have experiences from those characters, and he brings them into the films. And that, for me, I think we were having a chat earlier about this. For me, you know, there's lots of actors that are talented enough to play different roles. And who am I to say that only certain people can play this or that? But I feel, especially nowadays, you know, that we really need to lean into the fact that working class actors or performers have it twice as hard, because they've got to hold down a job as well as doing what they love doing, and you know, God knows what else they're struggling with, and getting, you know, middle class to upper class people to play those parts, I feel like it's taking away a particular demographic and stopping you know, working class performers from having a chance and having a stab at it. And we don't have as many British films being made. How do
we change that?
I think you said that's a big question, don't we? I don't know. I don't really know how to answer it. It's not something I know how to answer.
I mean, I remember meeting Jessie Frost, who did the casting for Marching Powder at the Read For, and we were just chatting before. Yeah. And she was just saying that there is a real shortage of working class actors still.
It's because people have to drop out because they can't afford to do it. Like the amount of people that were in my year at drama school that were amazing, absolutely amazing, and they don't do it anymore. And they found something that they like and they're passionate about, and they do now. But if I bump into them and speak to them, you can see, if I talk about my work, you can see that glint in their eye just sort of flicker again. And I think it's because people get nervous about being able to pay the rent and being able to survive.
Cool. People got to live, right?
I think some sort of investment of being able to you know, to make more British films and working class stories.
To get into schools more,
maybe to get into schools more
funding.
I think that obviously it's a little bit different for the youngsters nowadays, because obviously you've got social media and stuff, and that's a different pathway altogether.
Of course.
But I know that you know, no matter what your background, if you've got talent, you've got talent. And I just feel like there should be, like, theatre is ridiculously expensive nowadays for anyone, and that blocks people from going and being inspired and taking in a bit of art. You know, if that was cheaper, even cinema, you know, cinema's crazy expensive. But I feel like, you know, things like, I can remember Nick, Goodbye Charlie Bright, Alexis Rodney. Do you remember Alexis? He had the iceberg. He was part of the gang, he had the iceberg. I remember seeing him and being like, that's me. That's what I wear. I wear that club art, and that's me in the game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so that allowed me to recognise someone on TV that looked like me, and having that familiarisation and be able to look at someone and go, oh, I could do that. That's where that spurred from, and that's why it was such an important thing to be in Nick's films as well, because him and Danny are people that inspired me to even, before I even knew I wanted to be an actor, before I even knew I wanted to do this stuff, they inspired me. So then being around them and you know, they've said some lovely things to me, and we had such a great laugh, and you know, and I really feel that, you know, I gave a good account, you know, when I met them, and it's inspired me to do more and you know, and push myself with it. But that allowed me, them doing their stuff and having that opportunity to watch those films and be inspired, it was enough for me to get the fire in my belly and go for it and push myself. But if we don't have those faces on screen, like, it's very rare that you hear our accent on screen anymore. You know, and that's why Marching Powder was such a sort of bang kick in the face, and why it's been received so well. Is it is, you know, it's almost sort of comic like. Even Nick will describe it as that you know, a lot of swearing, a lot of fighting and violence and drug abuse and stuff. But it was kind of a reaction to this situation that we're in now, where you can't really say anything, and you know, people get offended by a lot of stuff. But I feel like
it was almost a pushback.
It was almost a
film?
pushback,
Like,
and I just feel like people should have the right.
I think society needed it. I think it
I
came
do,
at the right time.
but also then I think it's a situation where if things like that offend you, that's fine, that's okay. It's okay to be offended,
Of course it is.
but you can always tell someone you're offended, and if they don't reply in the right way, then that's a situation. I don't think we should be told what to think or believe all the time. You know, I don't think that's a thing.
No, good.
I think you should have the freedom to be able to behave in a particular way. Not obviously going wild, but you know, I think people should have a little bit more choice in the way they're allowed to express themselves, and I think a lot of people jump down people's throats because they're not listening to what other people have to say, or they're just sort of blocking out a certain demographic.
Yeah.
But I definitely think, you know, there's so much reality TV nowadays as well, and that's sort of quick money for young people. They get into that, and a lot of the stuff that's being made, there's a different kind of financing behind the streaming platforms and stuff like that. Things have to be churned out and pushed out, and they only want things that are, you know, going to hit the mark. So if they're not exploring and doing, you know, stuff at the BFI and, you know, sort of independent films, and there's no budget for them, then how can people be inspired for the future? And that's a sad thing. But hopefully films like ours and people like us, you know, whoever wants to get involved with stuff, reach out, get involved with it. Write to Nick, write to people that inspire you.
Would that be your advice, to just do it? Just
I think so. I mean, what are you going to lose?
Yeah,
I've written to so many people. There's a lot of people that haven't got back to me, by the way.
I will do soon.
Yeah, like, I've written to a lot of people, and I've tried to knock down a lot of doors, and some of them have never opened, but some of them have.
Yeah.
And if I didn't do that, just like stopping Nick in the road. Like, if you don't ask, you don't get. And I know that can be, it's easier said than done, but I do think that, you know, if people aren't making the right stuff, write something.
Yeah.
Like, again, I say that as if, like, I'm terrible. You know what I'm like? I've got ADHD brain, so I'm 100 mile an hour. I could probably act out a whole film right now for you.
Yeah.
Or put something on stage and do all the characters, but I couldn't sit down and write it. That's not my forte. But there'll be people out there that can put pen to paper, and they don't have they've not had the encouragement. Go and do it. Just go and do it. You're not going to lose anything, and if anything, you've got everything to gain.
Yeah.
You know, just go and push yourself and try stuff, and, you know, have a go. You never know whose table it will land on, or who will give you a chance. But
Persistence.
You got to do persistence.
Persistence is key, right?
Exactly. That is how I am. You know, I'm not anywhere near where I want to be yet, but I'm in a very good position, and I get to work with amazing people, and I'm very, very fortunate that I'm in a position that I'm in, that, you know, I've had amazing experiences, and I'm going on to do amazing stuff because I just went, you know what, I'm going to have a go at this, and no one's going to tell me any different.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's what you owe yourself. If you feel like you want to do something, go out and do it, no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be related to performance or film and TV and stuff.
You see it with a lot of footballers, don't you? Where they get knockbacks, and they're 12 released from this club, 14 released from that, and they just keep going and going. All of a sudden, they're Premier League players playing for England.
And do you know what? I'd say, Dean, as well? I like getting knockbacks. Like, I love getting knockbacks. I can remember someone sitting, I think it was when I first ever sat down at RADA, and they sat down, and it was like Hogwarts, honestly. Like, and this lady sat and spoke, and I thought, this is not my place. And I'm looking around at all the pictures, and there's all the greats on the wall. And she was like, 93% of you won't make it. I was like, well, I'm gonna go. That'll probably be me.
Jeez,
so, and she said, but for the very few that will, you won't work loads, and then there'll be like 1% that will smash it and be like absolute superstars. And in my head, I was like, Okay. All right, so you don't think I'm going to make it? And I've got this. I've always had this thing in me where I'm like, yeah, watch, I'll show you, mate. I've always had that. That's probably my Irish or my South East London roots, whatever. So yeah, go on, I'll show you. We've all got that, right? Yeah. I'll show you, mate.
Yeah.
And that is what I continue to do to this day. And not getting a job makes me have to go, why am I not getting that job? If it's out of my hands because it's someone's friend or, you know, they've always lined up someone else, that's fair enough. But what am I not doing right? So I need to work on myself. It's not, you know, it's not just the luck. I need to go back and go, right, how can I be better? What can I do? You know, how can I improve myself? Yeah. And I think that having the knockbacks, it just gives you that fire in your belly.
Constant evolving.
Yeah, always.
You sound like when you speak, you know you're not where you want to be. You don't think you've cracked it, even though you've done very, very well. But you're constantly evolving. You want to learn. You want to be better.
100%. I think I'll probably always be like that. That I'm not where I want to be. But that's because I'm hungry for it, and that's because you know, there's lots of experiences that I want to have, and my main thing is that I want to just constantly work and have amazing experiences, you know, and learn about myself and explore that, whatever that means. But I do think that, you know, it's really important to never settle and sit there and go, yeah, no, I'm good now, and I'll do this and I'll do that. I want to be able to, and I like being, as much as I can, I like being involved with things that move people and that have an effect on people. I know that Marching Powder, playing Vinny, was a really important character for me because I've got a lot of mates that have gone through abuse and, you know, alcohol and drug abuse scenarios, you know, where they've lost their families or, you know, some of them have taken their own lives, and, you know, and so that's a big responsibility to play a character like that. I think at surface level people think, oh, he's just a nutter and he does this, but there's a lot going on there, and a lot of men come up to me and say the biggest thing that they got from that film is when Jack comes to his door and he says, oh, do you want to come in, we're all having a party, and it all hits everyone, and it hits, and it's the tiniest little bit that Nick put in there.
It just showed him in a different light. He's the big brash
this is it.
character, and he's one of the boys, and then you see him and he's so vulnerable.
That's
it.
That's it. And I think that being able to, so that film's a lot of fun, but if you can get these little snippets of, you know, of truth and depth, and I think it's a really important thing, and that's another thing that I love doing, and why I love doing it is because it kind of educates people and allows people to feel. Because, you know, if you're a particular way and you don't like showing your emotions and stuff, at least at that moment in time you can release it and you can feel. Do you know what I mean? If you're sitting there watching it on your own, things might come up and you might feel a certain way, and it might even inspire you to talk. It might even inspire you to talk.
Are you still on a journey of self-discovery?
Oh, all day. I think that's why I chew your ear off every day on the phone.
Yeah, but we all do. Don't we?
I think it's really, really important to discover some stuff about yourself, just even if it's a little bit, just so that you know how that you react in situations, just so you can be the best version of you for yourself first, for your family, for your friends, so you can get the most out of life. Because if you're kidding to yourself and you're, you know, saying, oh, I'm like this or I'm like that, and, you know, you're not letting all the light in that you can, what's the point? You know, what's the point? And obviously, again, like it's difficult. It's not an easy thing. You know, I've done therapy for a number of years, and I'm still learning, you know, about myself, and I'm still pushing myself. But I feel like the more that you learn about yourself, the better person you can be, the better experiences that you can have. We talk about lots of stuff all the time, and it definitely helps my career and you know, my work and what I'm doing, and understanding thought processes and characters and personalities.
Well, you've got a lot more depth than like if someone was just to meet you in a pub or wherever, and you're like Big Bailey,
tapping them,
laughing and joking, and they probably think there ain't a lot about you, but there's so much depth to you, mate. And like you say, we have some really good conversations, and I think that's one thing that people don't really realise about you, because you're such a big, happy, fun character, but you're a deep soul, mate, and you're a good soul.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, mate. I think it's one of those though. Then again, it's a protection thing, isn't it? There's the pub Bailey or whatever, or you know, meeting you outside.
And
I like, again,
and we're all actors, right?
Yeah, we're all
actors.
Have
different
we're all
faces.
My front is definitely, we'll have a laugh and we'll have a giggle, and I like doing that. If someone is on my wavelength and if someone is willing to be vulnerable with me and they're willing to talk about vulnerable stuff, I will share my stuff as well. I'm not willing to do that with someone who's surface level. That's never going to be a thing. But I do think, if you can go through the layers of the onion. But my first port of call is being silly. And do you know what? I love being silly. I like having a laugh. Do you know what I mean? I like getting the most out of it.
That's what we do as men, right?
It's
I
true,
think that's
true.
how we're wired
100%.
up for that bantery sort of,
100%.
all take the piss out of each other.
That's
and
it.
Yeah, it's only certain people you find, and you go, there's a little bit more there, I can have a chat with him.
Yeah,
Some
and it's
people
rare,
you
isn't it?
can't.
It's
It is
rare. And I think that it's a really important thing, and I think that no one should ever be ashamed of wanting to talk about their feelings or wanting to express themselves or talk about anything, because that's who we are as human beings. And I wouldn't have got to where I am today without being able to tap into my stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I would be in a happy place at all if I wasn't able to express my emotions and speak about stuff. So I would urge anyone who's struggling with stuff to go and speak to someone or speak to someone close to them and not hold things in, because it's not living. It's not living. And
Boys
I think
cry too, right?
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. Too much, if anything, with me. But it's yeah. I think the thing about nowadays is that there's so much. We spend so much time using technology and being on our phones and stuff like that. It's very easy to kind of hide away from everyday life, and we're always kind of like that all the time. Yeah, we detach ourselves. But it's nice sometimes. I know you and I always speak about stuff like going to the gym, having long walks, and putting your phone down for a little bit and just being present and doing stuff like that. And it's mad that we should even have to say those things nowadays, because back in the day, that's what you do. You didn't have a phone. You go and enjoy yourself. You go and play out in the park with your mates till silly o'clock. It get dark. That's when you knew you had to go in for dinner and that. But even like knowing where your mates are and not having to text them and all of this, I feel like we've lost those sort of roots. We've lost along the way somewhere, and I think that we need to slowly start to go back to living in a sort of old school way, and making sure that we're there for each other, reconnecting and talking to each other and doing all of that. And I think it's a really important thing to do, because there's so many people, like we were talking about the bravado thing. There's so many people that I know that are suffering, and they won't let me in. They will do the bravado thing and joking and messing around and stuff, and then they're not ready to talk. They're not ready to kind of allow themselves to be vulnerable, allow themselves to change in that sort of way, and that's a shame. It is a shame. So yeah, I'd urge people to be able to speak to their mates or whoever they want to.
Definitely. I think people go through so much, and coming from where we come from, and so many people will relate that they hide behind drink and drugs, and they get to a stage where you've got to change that, mate, because you can't 100%. Do that forever. And I see so many friends of mine, they're old friends on Instagram who I haven't seen for years and whatever, but they're all going sober and just
doing the change.
It's enough.
Making the change.
You've got to make that change.
That's it.
You've got to talk to people. And
that's it. No, there will come. I think there always comes a point. It's like, even for myself, like before I do a job, or even during it, like on the weekends and stuff, we'd all go out and get smashed, and now I couldn't think of anything worse, because I want to make sure that I'm the best version of myself for the job.
As well,
the hangovers and all of this stuff, but even just my focus and energy, I just don't want to devote it to anything else but what I like doing. And listen, this is not me preaching to anyone. You do whatever you want to do in your life. Like that's not my decision. However, I would say, since I've started to really embrace what I want from life and what makes me happy, that's when everything else starts to go well. That's when I get jobs. That's when that's when I do well with my work, and my family are happy and stuff. And so I do think that it's a really, really important thing to be a little bit selfish and go, do you know what makes me happy? What can I do to make myself happy first? And then that sort of beams light on everything else in your life. I reckon.
There's an old saying that I like, is you take care of you for me, and I'll take care of me for you.
That's it.
You're not there to take care of anyone else. You look after yourself first, and then you can look after the people around you.
That's it. Do you know what? I love that you can. You pull out quotes all the time. It's such a skill. But you do the best quotes. My quotes are awful. Like I can't remember anything. Mine's just like, don't do bad things, do good stuff all the time. Yeah. That's from Mush 2025, isn't it? Yeah. But no, I completely agree with you.
Look after yourself.
100%. And there's a lot of we all have so many pressures nowadays, and everything's more expensive, everything's harder, everything's we don't have as much money to have downtime and go on holiday and do things like that, and I just think you just got to start from within and do your own stuff on yourself, and be there for your family and friends, and just enjoy it. There's a lot of angry people. I find there's a lot of angry people nowadays.
Yeah, loads.
And both of us can't talk because we've had our little stints of being quite angry people, I think.
Yeah, but you got to get through it, haven't you?
You do. I do think you have to get through the other side, and then you can start enjoying it, because yeah, there's enough angry people out there. We don't need no
exactly.
more, eh?
Exactly. I think anger is another form of defence as well, and it's another thing we hide behind. I think like you speak about, once you do a little bit of therapy, you learn about yourself. You start to learn to cope with the anger. Why am I angry? What's the root cause of my anger?
Yeah.
And once you address that, you can start to release the anger a little bit.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
And approach things in a different way.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important as well. Yeah. But what's next for you, mate? What you got?
I'd like to know myself actually. I don't know. Like I said before, I just like doing projects that I've been lucky enough to do stuff that I actually really, really enjoy. I kind of, like I said, I've got an action thriller coming out I think it's coming out December on Amazon Prime. Be out in America end of next month.
Do we know the name of it?
It's called Wildcat.
Okay.
It's called Wildcat. It's Lewis Tan, Kate Beckinsale, Rasmus Hardiker, Tom Bennett, who was new man in Phone Shop. He's like one of my favourite comedians. Yeah,
Shop.
Do you know what? It was such a gift. That job was amazing because obviously working with Kate, amazing.
Yeah.
Who is, like I said before, she's an absolute darling. Like she's got time for everyone. Like for being a superstar that she is, she's just got time for everyone. She's lovely, generous, kind, funny as anything.
Yeah.
Really witty. Getting to work with Lewis, who's like the cool. When you meet people, like it's like yourself. Like when you meet people and you're like, they're just cool. Like he's just like he's an action hero anyway. He's done like Mortal Kombat and all of these. He's an amazing guy, but he's just cool. Like if you like, for instance, in the film, like I'm just about holding a shooter in there, yeah. Like and I'm putting it away. And it's like he's like doing flicks and like doing it. Mate, I tried to do it. I nearly knocked out one of the camera blokes. Yeah. Like he's just one of them cool guys. But we made a really good friendship. Me, him, and Raz. Made a really good bond on there. They're really, really good guys, but they're so on the game. So Kate and Lewis are very kind of serious doing their stuff, and then Tom and Raz, we just have absolute comedy gold, having a laugh. And that was another dream, being able to do my own stunts and stuff. That was a new thing. I had a stuntman there as well, so I tried to do as many as I could, and then he took over for the serious bits. Like being thrown through a wall. I was desperate to go through the wall. They wouldn't let me.
Did you want to do it?
I wanted to go. I wanted to do it. And then I see it happen. I was like, no, you know what? I'm all right. I'll have a tea, please. But yeah, that's going to be a great film. It's there's a lot of comedy in it, a lot of action. But it was just great to do stuff. We're shooting, and there's a geezer with dust pellets like pinging things off, and there's all explosions going off, and it's
that sounds fun.
Stuff that you've grown up watching. And you get a chance
Every
to do.
boy's dream, right?
Yeah. So I think hopefully I'm going to be going on the same sort of trajectory with that, and kind of going down that route. I've got a project coming up soon. Not too sure when I'm going to be starting, but got a big one coming up next, and. You never know. Marching Powder might creep his head again. Maybe we could have a number 2. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
That would be nice, mate.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
We could do that. But yeah, no, there's lots in the pipeline, and it's an exciting time, and I feel very grateful that I'm at the place where I'm at. It's been blood, sweat, and tears, and it's been there's been a lot of heartache behind it as well. And I've met some incredible people along the way, including yourself, man. And it's been a joy to be able to come and do this and have a chat with you today.
No, it's been great, Bay, and I wish you all the best. Like I say, you're a very good man, mate, and I know how hard you work.
Yeah.
You're focused, and I just wish you all the best for the future, mate.
Top man.
Cheers,
mate. Thanks, Dean.
Thanks.
Cheers, mate. Lovely.